Standing on the top now. No, nothing can move you.
Jimmy Dore. Now, a lot of you people watch me and you're going to get mad at me, but it is what it is. I like Jimmy. Jimmy's funny. Jimmy is very entertaining. And Jimmy is right on a lot of subjects. And I know you're Rob, so is Tucker Carlson. Yeah, but Tucker Carlson is a very, very flamboyant bigot. Flamboyant about his bigotry. And smug about it. Arrogant and inconsiderate. Well, let me let you hear Jimmy Dore on what he said. He did a video, and this is no hate toward Jimmy. I like Jimmy's comedy. Jimmy makes me laugh. I like his show. Don't talk much about black issues like he should. He talk more about progressive issues. But yet, everybody wants to link black issues in with progressive issues. And you cannot do that. And I'm not going to allow you to do that. Don't link our issues with progressive issues. We have totally different issues, just like we don't have the same issues with Latino. We don't have the same issues with LGBTQ, and we don't have the same issues with Asian or anybody else on this planet. They didn't go through what we go through, and they are not going through what we're going through. I got to sit here and see people buck dance and dance because Joe Biden went and spoke at an event. And knowing, anyway, I'm going to say that for later on in the week. But let's hear Jimmy Dore talk about closing the wealth gap.
Anyone serious about addressing wealth gaps would eliminate student debt, institute universal health care, and raise the minimum wage to $23 an hour. Anyone who doesn't support these actions works for Wall Street and the big corporations and not the people. You care about black peoples and the wealth gap? That's what you would be doing. You'd be giving everybody universal health care. You'd be giving everybody a living wage if you cared.
Now, here's where I disagree with you, Jimmy. Highly disagree with you. Did you notice what you said just now? If you want to close the wealth gap for black people, you'll be giving everybody student debt relief. Most black people don't have student debt. Most black people can't afford to go to college. Most black people go to community college because it's free in some states. Student debt is mainly a white person's debt relief program. If you eliminate student debt, it's going to bring relief to white people, and it's going to continue to make their gap even bigger because now they ain't got to pay for that. Institute universal health care. These are equality plans. Everybody should have a right to eliminate student debt, universal health care, and the minimum wage should be waged at $23 an hour. But don't you understand that anytime you put something on the scale, if the scale already has stuff on it, and there's the other side of the scale don't have anything on it, and you decide to put the same items on that scale, do you realize what was previously on that scale on the left will continue to stay on the heavy side? And you can put some things in there. I'm trying to explain it right. You can have a scale, but when you pull out that scale, there's already a certain amount of weight on it on the left-hand side. Now, the only way you can make that even is you stop putting stuff on that side of the weight, and you put the same amount of weights on the other side to make it equal. You can't put the universal health care weight on the left and the right, $23 on the left and the right, student loan on the left and right, and then get a balance in the scale. That's not the way it's going to go, Jimmy. No, I'm sorry, Jimmy. Sorry, JD. You're wrong. The only way to close the wealth gap is the money that was calculated for the wealth is give us the same equal in wealth equality as white people have. See, Evolve says this is CNBC. Support for a program to pay reparations to descendants of slaves is gaining momentum, but could come with a $12 trillion price tag. $12 trillion, Jimmy. That's just to make it even on the scale. Once that is done, then you start putting that other stuff on it. Here's the key points. The movement supporting reparations as a way to make amends for the atrocities of slavery and to reduce the persistent wealth gap is gaining momentum. And it's going to keep gaining. We're not going to stop. We're not going to let this ball go. 142 members of Congress support H.R. 40. The bill is to study reparation. Whoop-de-doo. You just named the end result of the study of reparations. Trillions of dollars need to go to the descendants of American slaves. Now, for those cities, and look, that money shouldn't just come from the federal government, but every state and local government that oppress black people, they need to pay up too. Now, let me get to this point. Those who have family members that was slaughtered in different kind of massacres, you need to deal with that state and city on that, as well as the federal government, because they let most of these people go scot-free for doing it. How the heck the guy gonna kill people in the town and become the mayor? You talking about a coup? That is a real coup. Reparation for slavery has been fiercely discussed in the United States since the Union Army General William Sherman promised 40 acres and a mule to 4 million free slaves in 1865. Do you realize what kind of wealth can be built on 40 acres? 40 acres and 1 mule. That's what the government promised black people for reparations for the hell they've been through. You know who got our 40 acres and a mule? Everybody else but us. That's why so many people are prospering in this country, and they got a legacy of prospering. But I'm an old white person now, a poor white person. Do you realize that you're probably poor and elderly because your forefathers squandered their wealth? I bet you if you look into your roots, you had some wealthy, at least well-off ancestors. Your lineage goes back to a time when they had a lot of stuff. While Americans don't generally support a reparation program paid by taxpayers, but you can support a bill for Asians, and they took some of that money to pay them back for the harm that they did. Our stimulus money went toward the Asian community. And yet you're going to put in here that Americans don't generally support a reparation. Whether you support reparation or not, you still need to pay. Walmart don't support pay. Let me tell you something. When Tracy Morgan got in that accident with Walmart didn't support paying Tracy Morgan. But Tracy Morgan took him to court. It ain't about whether you support it or not. Whether you 143 members of Congress have co-sponsored H.R. 20. Whoop-de-freaking-do. Let me get off this story because it's pissing me off. At least William Dore, professor at Duke University, the cost is $12 million plus, or about $800,000 to each eligible black household. Eligible. You got to be eligible. But not everyone agrees that now is the time to pay reparations. It don't matter whether everybody agree with paying reparations now. Who cares? But you can agree to overwhelmingly sign the Asian hate bill. You can overwhelmingly agree and finance immigration laws. Overwhelmingly agree to the Equality Act and put money into it. But you owe black people a debt and you won't pay it. And they always use our national debt. Our national debt is already up to around $26-27 million. I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap whether you support it or not. Don't care. I don't need you to support it. Would like for you to support it, but don't need you. This country and the descendants here killed black people by the droves. Took our babies and fed them to alligators down in the Everglades in Florida. Made us populate on purpose, made us have all these babies to give them more so-called human cattle to till the fields. And then when we start populating too much, it's like, there's a lot of them on my plantation. I'm scared they may revolt. So you you trained us to pop out babies like left and right, but yet then you're going to criticize us because we pop out babies left and right. Yet you do whatever you can to sterilize the black man. So for those people who got the vaccine, you don't know what's in that vaccine. They did some god-awful stuff to black men and women, especially black men. It's a lot of black men that's sterile because of freaking experiments. So for Prager University to make this complaint about, shut up. This country owes us in the tunes of $12 trillion. You owe the descendants of slaves. And the descendants of slaves need to stop supporting these freaking politicians and joining the descendants of slaves as a voting bloc and tell them, if you are not going to vote, I don't give a crap if you support it or not. Your butt better go to that pen and vote for reparations. Stop the studying because it's done. No more study. Stop that crap. Using that as a lame excuse to delay the process. Get your butt in there, draft a bill that we approve by us. You can get your butt out there on the floor. And for every person who say no to it, they're going to have to deal with us. And look, I don't know how you're going to deal with people on the streets, but when you play with black people money, man, they get irritated. You're liable to get punched in the mouth. I don't believe in violence, but when you play with people money, man, you know, this stuff is getting serious. My number one priority is to make sure that we don't get lost in the weeds. Black people, you're letting everybody else go before you. You are. The CBC, all these people who voted for Joe Biden and all that kind of stuff, you let these people go before you. I told you need to put some heat on Joe Biden's neck before you agree to vote for him for anything. You need to get him on record and get him already laying the foundation for reparation before you even give him any kind of power in office. I don't care about Trump, none of that stuff. Stop that boogeyman bull crap. I don't give a crap about that. Get to it. Now, we got another upcoming election coming up. And the people who's going to be signing that, the people who's supposed to be pushing reparations, those are the people who you need to be siding with. And now let me say this, and I'm going, progressives. I will always tell you again. Anybody who's pushing that crap as reparations for black people need to kiss them out behind. And I don't care, we are friends. You need to kiss my behinds. I don't care if I like it. This ain't got nothing to do with like it. This is serious business. If you talking about student debt cancellation, $23 an hour, we already know this crap. But if you try to push the federal government to get that done first and you're not pushing them to pay their debts that they owe this country, then shame on you. Now understand this. I repeat, this country owes black people at least $12 trillion. The only way you're going to close that wealth gap is not giving equality policies, pushing equality policies. Because all you're doing is adding more weight on the scale that's already had weight on the side of everybody but black. No. You take that heavy thing that's off the weight, you cut it in half and make it even. Then you start putting that stuff on there. Stop going out here talking about we need $23 an hour minimum wage, which we do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crapping on that. $23, that's good. In New York, it should be $30. We should have no cost education. But to sit there and tell the government to finance that now when they owe $12 trillion to black people, then you got your priorities wrong. The reason people get cursed is because they don't do right by people. And as long as this country don't do right by black people, it will continue to be cursed. It will continue to go through hell and high water. It will continue to have no justice, no peace, and it will continue to shame the devil publicly. And he can scream all he wants, saying, that's not fair, you shouldn't do this. No. If you're operating in white supremacy and bigotry, you're a devil. If you're not trying to actively close the wealth gap and join those who pushing reparations as the tool to close the wealth gap, whether it's popular or not, and you're using that as an excuse, shame on you. Excuse is not allowed when you take somebody to court. I ain't got it, judge. Well, you ain't got it, you're going to jail. Either you get it or you're going to jail. Probably the thing is, the country got it. They got the money to pay us. And they don't have to come out of taxpayers' pocket. They got the money. It's called a reserve for a reason. A Federal Reserve. They got the money and don't even have to come out of your taxpayers' pocket. But if we had to tax you to get it out your pocket, so be it. If you want to tax me to get free education, you want to tax me to get free health care, you want to tax me to get all this stuff, which I don't mind, tax me. Do it after you get reparations done.